Tebogo, thank you so much for your time. Of course, we are waiting for those results to come in. As a public interest South Africa, you've always supported the recommendation made by the ad hoc committee. Just your thoughts around what we've seen in Parliament today.
Look, I wish it all goes well. We need this appointment. I think it will be a good appointment since the appointment or the departure of Professor Thuli Madonsela. And indeed, we believe that the current acting public protector has done her stint.
All right, Tebogo, let me pause you there. Let's go back now to Parliament. They are making that announcement.
The noes 12, and then abstention 0. The rest, as you know, were absent. Thank you very much. The question is agreed to, and Advocate Kholeka Gcaleka is accordingly recommended for appointment as public protector. Honorable Member, the House is now adjourned. Thank you very much.
Right, there you have it. The House is now officially adjourned, so says the Speaker of the National Assembly. There, of course, Parliament voting yes for the recommendation of Advocate Kholeka Gcaleka as the new public protector of South Africa. We are in conversation with the public interest of South Africa. We're speaking to Tebogo Khaas. Tebogo, well, there you have it. That is the recommendation. Your reaction?
It doesn't happen often that I agree with what Parliament does or how it votes, but certainly this is a good appointment. I think Ms. Gcaleka is deserving of the role. She's really conducted or comported herself admirably during the period she stood in for the now former public protector, and as well as the deputy. I think she's acted very well. She's conducted herself very well during her stint, and we couldn't have had a better choice in the public protector than her. So we really welcome the appointment.
Of course, I want us to talk and unpack a little bit about the importance of this position of public protector. Of course, those that rejected her nomination raised issues, of Gcaleka not having the kind of impartiality and credibility that is needed and expected from the public protector. Of course, she does have, as I mentioned earlier, the shadow of the President's Phala report clouding her recommendation, notwithstanding the utterances that were made by the DA's Glenis Breitenbach earlier on.
I was a bit disappointed with the conduct of Advocate Glenis Breitenbach, somebody that I really respect, and the fact that she had to walk out in the middle of the proceedings. But be that as it may, Ms. Gcaleka has really endured a lot of battering during her interviews, even before her before the interviews, where we found parties like the EFF, ATM, UDM and others pillaring her unfairly so for the things that really ought not to have been considered or been for consideration during her appointment or interview for her appointment. And certainly we cannot have a worse PP than the recent one that we had. I'm using strong words here deliberately because I believe that we didn't deserve the former PP Mkhwebane, and she has really shown herself to be very biased. It is one thing to be biased in favor of justice or in favor of integrity, but we've seen that all those things, those qualities went out of the way the minute she set foot in that office, and that role was really reduced to a role of carrying a can for politicians, and we've seen a lot of transgressions, violations of the regulations and even the laws, including when we had intelligence documents being spirited unlawfully and handed over to her when she didn't have the type of clearances that ought to have been made it possible for her to accept those documents. That is from Floyd Shivambu. So we couldn't have had the worst time. It's been the worst period for South Africa. It's been a sad chapter. Nobody really wants to see a Chapter 9 institution incumbent being vacated in the manner that Ms. Mkhwebane has been. We really wish everybody to finish their tenure, but also to make sure that they actually conduct themselves in accordance to what is expected of that office. And really, we believe that Ms. Mkhwebane failed spectacularly in her role. So we welcome Kholeka. We hope all the people who were naysayers, all those people who were pillaring her during her interview sessions would now pull their weights behind her. Let us give her the time to actually execute the mandate of that office and make sure that she can then be judged on what she's able to do. And indeed, if she fails to deliver on the mandate, we'll be amongst the first to actually call her out and make sure that she actually does what is expected of office. And we will do that unequivocally and without fear or favor. But be that as may, we believe that we need to give her the chance to actually do that. I think she's a solid person, a solid appointment, and we wish her all the best in her new role as the public protector.
I just want to talk about some of the points that you've raised. In some of the concerns that have been raised, none of the 8 candidates, as an example, recommended by the ad hoc committee qualified for the job. That's just some of the points that were made and raised during the debates. And now, of course, there are questions of whether or not the process of appointing the public protector needs to be reviewed or re-evaluated, especially when you consider, and you've touched a little bit about this, just the criticism of how the public protector's office has been viewed, over the years as one that is politicized, some saying even weaponized over the years.
When I'm laughing, I'm smiling simply because I'm looking at the kind of people who are standing as judge, deciding whether she should be appointed, if she fits the bill or not. One of them, leader of the EFF, is in court today facing charges, criminal charges of firing a firearm in public. As a legislator, you ought to know that that's not the kind of thing that you do. So we've got people standing as judge and referees pontificating about lack of qualifications for an advocate of the court and an acting PP who was the deputy PP until today, obviously subject to the president signing or assenting to that, I believe. But we cannot therefore want to reduce her to the same level as those people who actually do not let her. So the process itself is flawed, as are many processes, including those before the appointment of judges, for example, at the JSC. No process is fault-free. No process can be unimpeachable insofar as the appointment of public officials. But we do have what we have, and we must work with what we have. If this process doesn't work, the legislature must change it, or we must agitate for the change of the process. But to the extent that this is what the process is all about, it has to follow through, and the rules prevailed, and the regulations prevailed, and she is appointed. We have to respect the process. We might not like the process, and if we do have suggestions on how to change or to improve the current arrangements, we as the public and politicians or political parties ought to bring to bear suggestions that they believe can improve on the process. But we must make do with what we have. It is not ideal at all. We do not like how the MPs themselves are appointed, that arbitrarily you would have somebody who's your representative that you haven't even met, but is an MP sitting in Cape Town. The process and the arrangements are imperfect, and of course they need to be changed. But this is what we currently have. We have to work with what we have.
All right, Mr. Khaas, thank you so much for your time.